Special City Council meeting to order. We have basically 3 items in an executive session to go to. So our first item is a public hearing on fiscal year 2021 budget. And so I guess you want to make a short presentation? We just want to ask open for public comment first.
However you would like me to.
Let's open public comment. Anybody like to come speak and relating to the budget for 2021? Did you fill out one of those forms there? Just be sure that,
They were hiding.
okay. Well, just go ahead and come up here and just make sure that you leave it in there before you,
That's a temperature log anyway.
okay.
Cindy told me that since it was a public hearing, signing up wasn't necessary. I took her word for it. That's what you get when you take Cindy's word for it.
That's okay. I understand Cindy's a very smart woman. Yes, sir.
Cindy is a treasure. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for putting up with me, in particular over the last few months. I know I've been a pain in your tail, but this issue is kind of important to me in a lot of respects, and I won't go into all the details. I have no idea what's in your budget. I haven't studied it, looked at it. I've just heard things from attending the meetings. I'm sure that it's appropriate, and carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to speak? No? All right, then we'll close the public hearing. And does anybody want to have any questions or comments about the budget presented? Because next item will be a considered approval. I'm sure everybody's had Monica's ears have been burning, and so has her telephone line. Yes, sir?
I'd like to thank staff because they've taken what I'm sure was an extremely difficult set of circumstances and produced a budget that I think is a pretty good working budget for us to use and live with and to work by. I would urge council to consider a cost of living adjustment for retired employees. I don't think we can fund it this year based on what I've been told. I think we should at least consider looking at it once we talk to the TMRS man and try to get as much information as we can and digest it and work forward from that. And if we can't do it this year, to try to look toward doing that in the future at some time.
Okay. Anybody else?
So I know there's, as we're going here, we're going to work our way to the fee schedule. Assuming that we don't adopt the fee schedule tonight, how does that play into the budget as presented?
It doesn't really.
So we just come back and make an adjustment
Right.
after the
Reserves.
fact?
What we put in revenues is based on what our current rates are, all except for the property tax, which this budget does include an additional $363,000 over property tax previously. And that's at the 45.74 cents per 100, the voter approval rate.
Okay.
And so that's everything else. We kind of kept the revenue at what we thought it would be, except for in the sewer fund. I did include
I
the
saw.
20-cent increase. That was the 3 of 4 for the sewer, but everything else is based on what we have in the rate today.
Okay, so if we don't do and I'm not saying we're not going to, I'm just saying if we don't get the fee schedule adopted tonight, the TBD that's in the budget as it's presented it would just reflect the current rates. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Hey, just one thing I want to kind of echo, I guess, what Alan said. I don't like to say a whole lot these days, but I think it's important what we're saying is that with the COLA stuff, I know, Alan, when we were here, I think it's probably you, I, and Doug were the only ones that voted to take that out of the budget when we did that, and I think we all took that under the assumption it was probably going to be for a one-year deal, because that's when, if my recollection is correct, is when we began to try to put some money towards infrastructure and streets. So we had neglected it for so many years, and that's where we thought we could add an extra to get us that 750 mark at that time for streets, and I believe that's what we did. In hopes that we can get that back into the budget the following years. And like government usually works, we have a hard time sometimes getting things put back in. So I know this COVID, of course, nobody foresee that happening with our budget. I just don't think we can do it this year. I know, Cindy, it means one more year you have to campaign. but it really makes a huge difference. You know that. So if you can come back next year, I promise you I'll do what I can, assuming we don't have catastrophic results from COVID, which I don't think we're going to at all. It could be a very pleasantly surprised this time next year that we can get that done. So I know you guys are going to campaign for one more year, but if you don't campaign, it never will get done. You know that. But I want you to know it hadn't fallen on deaf ears. I think it's been well deserved, and if it wasn't for COVID, it'd get done now. Y'all deserve it, so please come back next year so we don't forget, and remind everybody else to get it done next year.
And just so, in case there's some other retirees that are listening, we do have a committee meeting planned for the September the 15th Personnel Committee to meet with TMRS. Is that still?
Yes.
Yes. To meet with TMRS so we can get their presentation and have an opportunity to ask them some direct questions.
Did you look at that other position, that one item? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any other questions?
One other thing I'd like to, just from a long-term perspective, I know you guys did a great job in previous budgets of allocating the 8% of property and sales tax to street and road repair, made it a staple and a policy of this city. And obviously, tough times call for desperate measures, but at some point I would like us to at least consider starting to walk that number up, because I don't think the repair costs associated with streets and infrastructure are gonna get any cheaper. And so, instead of trying to take huge bites each year, maybe we consider small steps and you begin 1,000-step journey or a 1,000,000-step journey with the first step. So at least that is part of the consideration. Maybe we're looking at 8.5% or 9% or something like that going forward.
Anybody else? Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I move we adopt the proposed budget for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Second.
Brady makes the motion, Mark seconds it. Further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Place one,
Aye.
place two,
Aye.
place three,
Aye.
place four,
Aye.
place five,
Aye.
place six,
Aye.
place seven,
Aye.
place eight.
Aye.
Unanimous vote. So we have our budget. Thank you very much, Monica, and all staff. Okay, then we're down to item number 3, which is approval and ordinance adopting the fee schedule. Monica, you want to go over that? Or do you think you'd need to go over that?
Pretty much it's what we have presented previously when we had the committee meeting with the fee schedule. The only thing that is actually changed in that is for the storm drainage, stormwater drainage. I did go ahead and include the dollar addition on the fees. So residential would go from $2 to $3 for under 5,000 square foot lot. It would go from $3 to $4 for above that to under like 24,000 square feet. And then the top rate for residential would go from 4 to 5. On the commercial, it would go from $3 to $4 for the detained rate, and that's at the equivalent residential unit. And then it would go to $6.80 for the undetained rate for commercial. That's the only other change that's been in there. Everything else has been presented to you previously.
Okay, anybody have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
This conversation started. Mayor, I move we approve, or let's see, ordinance, what is this, Stacy? 28, adopting 2020-21 fee schedule as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Brady, a second by Allen. Further discussion? We are gonna have a off-site work session sometime in the next 4 weeks or so to look at the entire fee structure for water sewer.
Correct.
And so we'll commit to you to do that for too long, which I have a feeling will be adjusted again at that point.
Yes, the only increase recommended at this time on the water and sewer, aside from a few additional fees, is the third of the fourth sewer increase. It would go from $3.90 to $4.10. Everything else would stay the same for now.
We're still gonna look at that issue though, at the end of the work session. Okay, any other discussion? Proceed to vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion passes. All right, those are our three items for the public meeting. In compliance with the provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Law, Subchapter D, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes, annotated in accordance with Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property acquisition for East Side Sewer Project. We'll go away in executive session. We'll be back and hear about, well, as soon as we get back.